Daily. There's been rumours of player rift, speculation about the coach, Des Hasler's future, rumblings to replace you as captain even. I just want to know what the last few weeks have been like for you, just personally.
Yeah, it's been a really tough finish to the footy season. I guess that was my only concern as the season was finishing, was trying to get a good result to finish on a high note. Wasn't until the footy finished that the rest of the club unfolded. So it's been a really interesting week to see, you know, the club put in this position. You know, it's hard to see. It's a place I care about, so it's hard to see all of this, you know, bad publicity coming at us.
Big rumour, Daly, you and Jake and Tom aren't talking.
Yeah, I reckon.
What's happening there?
When clubs like us come under scrutiny, I reckon these things are a bit of a cop-out, if I'm completely honest.
In what way?
That it's an easy thing to just come at the playing group and pick apart relationships and friendships and all that. Myself and Jake, hey, we're fine. We are fine, and I'm happy to go on record, and I'm sure Jake would as well. As the year finished, do not get me wrong, 7 in a row, frustration and disappointment was definitely amongst the playing group, but never to the point where people weren't talking to each other. So that's what I mean. I think those things can completely just be taken out of context, but to finish 7 in a row and not win, it's naturally going to upset people. But there was absolutely no way was there anything personal going on at Manly.
What about the other rumour that when you were in the bubble with COVID, you lived elsewhere for the team?
That's a funny one.
Or did it happen?
No, I was at the same complex as everyone else. I actually paid extra money to give me and my 3 kids extra space. So the NRL provided to a certain level, and beyond that you had to pay. And I chose to pay extra money to have extra room with my partner and kids up in Queensland.
But in the same facility?
Same, yeah. Everyone could see. I was at lunches, dinners, everywhere. I was at the same place.
And it was an extra room because you do have 3 children as well to house.
Yeah, well, knowing how long we were going to be up there, I didn't want to be squished. And some people did do that, but I had an option to not do it, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's funny like that, and that's the thing. Like these narratives that get pushed out sometimes, just to personally attack people, they just don't make any sense.
A huge turning point in the season was surrounded by the Pride round. Has that contributed to the fall away and the 7 losses towards the end of the season?
I think it's just made what's happening at the club more. It's made it easier to talk about stuff. Like this was definitely a controversial point in the season. It was a game we needed to win, but we had boys that took a stand, and you know how it even got to the point where we had to wear this jersey. That's the part the club's owning. We shouldn't have even been put in that position as players to have to worry about that. But ultimately, it was a big game in our season, and we had a big portion of some of our best players not playing. So it did have an impact at the time, but we had a lot of good discussions around that. We got a really good understanding of why our teammates didn't play. And after that, we've moved on. And unfortunately, we couldn't get a win to justify that we had moved on. But at training, I had really felt like as a group we were connecting and we were training well, we just weren't getting a result.
I live in the area and I listen to a lot of the people and see a lot of the junior players. One of the disgruntled areas is the association with Blacktown. Where do you see that going forward? Do Manly use Blacktown as their feeder club, or do you feel like Manly should go back to having their own reserve grade and sort of bringing their own players through the area?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I guess that's part of the club being run from, I guess, the front office side of things. And I know it has an impact on our football department, but we do have to trust that our office is doing the best thing by our football department. And look, ultimately, I would love to see, the next Tom and Jake coming through. I hope, and I don't know well enough, that there is a path for our local juniors to come through. I'm probably not too aware of that situation, but I can only hope that our club's got local juniors on their radar. Any good club in the NRL has a good pathway system. So Blacktown's a part of our pathway system, but I'd like to think there's plenty of work going into the Northern Beaches.
OK, looking forward to next year. You get Tom Trbojevic back.
Yeah.
Who'll be a huge plus. You lose Kieran Foran. Is Josh Schuster the guy to fill that void?
Yeah, look, it's very likely Shuey's going to be playing in the 6 jersey next year, so we've all seen the ability that he's got. He's got endless talent. He really does. His highlight reel is... The longer he plays, the bigger it's going to get, because he's just full of those, freaky plays. But it's going to be at it's going to be hard for us, young half. Tom coming back's going to help us though. You know, I'd like to think Tom back on the field next year, we're going to be able to reconnect again and help Shuey settle into the 6 role. And as long as we've got our best players out there, I've got no doubt we're going to have a better year than this year.
He said Josh has got a highlights reel. What about the other side of the game? The game about doing everything else that Kieran Foran does really well.
Yeah,
Has he got the ability to do
Well, from
that?
the outside looking in, Josh looks big, doesn't look fit.
Yeah, naturally he's a big fella. Like, he's got a big frame. He'd be about 6'3", I reckon. So I think as a young fella, you're definitely learning at what your ideal playing weight is. I think the quicker that he can find that, the better footy he's going to play more consistently. But if we do compare Kieran Foran to Josh Schuster, I think, you know, some fans are going to be very disappointed and some fans are going to be happy because they're 2 different players and they're going to provide 2 different things. But I see Schuster having a very solid career, but yeah, he definitely got some work to do. But he's at a club that supports him, and he's at a club that's going to back him.
Well, can Des get the best out of him? The question marks over Des, will that affect players staying there? How will it affect you as a captain?
Yeah, look.
Where is this all coming from?
Coaches come and go. That's the reality of the NRL. And myself, Jake and Tom, we've come out and backed Des because we have a great relationship with him and we know how hard he works, we know how much he cares about the club. But our club's got obviously a business to run, and that's why I understand it's getting to the point where they're looking at his future and whether that's now or over the next couple of years. But I endorse Des. I've got a massive rap on Des as a coach, and I think he's the exact person that will help us get out of the rut that we were in this year. But yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes with that, so hopefully it gets settled soon.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Do you think at the moment, where it is sitting at the moment, do you think he will be there?
My gut feeling is that he stays, and I don't know anything to say otherwise. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't see out at least this year of his contract. Des wouldn't want to go out on the way we finish.
Next year?
Next year, yeah, next year. I don't think Des would want to finish his coaching career on what has just happened this year. He's too successful as a coach for this to be the end.
What I keep hearing over time is to coach Manly, you need to be a manly person. What does that mean?
I think the most success Manly's had, it's come when there's been a Manly person as the coach. So I completely...
So to have played for the place?
I think so. I think if you look at like Bozo's success as a coach, he was obviously through and through. Des has had success as a coach.
Tubes
took us to a grand final as well. So I think that's where it comes from, is that when it's been a Manly person, it's usually ended in a grand final appearance to some degree. But I think if our clubs run strongly enough from the top down, you can get a coach from anywhere. If the playing group are worrying about footy, the coach is looking after footy and the club's running itself, I don't really think it has to be a Manly person, but for now I'm really happy it is with Desi.
All right, well, thanks for being so open and honest as well. You survived the a current affair. Andrew John's a current affair. He's vying for that new role.
60 minutes.
Yeah, 60 minutes.
No, current affairs.
Okay.
Current affairs.